In this video, we throw on some lights, add some stickers, add a rack, and finally get some rear storage sorted for a 1993 Toyota Land Cruiser. Let me take you up to the top of the 80 series and show you why we're going to be replacing the roof rack. What a roof rack looks like on an 80 series Land Cruiser. And if you're lucky, your roof rack doesn't have as much mold and moss on it as mine does. And you can tell this thing has seen better days. This track these T-slots are falling off. The mounts are a little worn and there's tons of moss all over this thing. And we're going to be removing the factory roof rack and throwing on, it's hard for y'all to see, right next to Kodak over there, Sherpa roof rack. This is the LaSalle. They have different names for every rack for every rig. The LaSalle fits the 80 series. We're gonna need a roof rack because we're gonna throw a rooftop tent on this bad boy. I would love to do the Camp Tech thing here, but I don't have an extra $14,000 laying in a couch cushion. I've already put way too much money in this rig, so sadly, I just can't afford that. But that's the dream. There are other tents out there too that bolt directly to the rails of the 80 series, like the Go Fast Camper. But that Go Fast Camper tent has about a 14-week lead time, and I don't have one of those. I have a rooftop tent, and now I have a rack, so I'm gonna make do with what I have. Let me tell you also why we went with Sherpa. I'm gonna throw in some B-roll here. I've had a Rhino rack on a GX470. I've had a Victory 4x4 rack on a Toyota Sequoia, which you should never buy. Don't buy anything from Victory 4x4. Thicker it is. So we're gonna open this up. Close it down, 4.6 millimeters. Get this nice and exacted out. What does it say right there? 7 millimeters. Already much thicker, higher quality metal. These are the old Victory 4x4 side rails. Look at that. Whoa. Like wet spaghetti. And then we'll go to the Sherpa side rails. Barely even moves. I mean, barely. Finally, I replaced the Victory 4x4 with Sherpa. Everything was so much better when I went to Sherpa. Never in my life buy anything from Victory 4x4 again. Sherpa did not sponsor me on this video. I love Sherpa. I'm a big fan of their product. They didn't give me this for free. I paid full pop retail for this. I paid retail for the rear bumper. I paid retail for a lot of these things. And the reason why I'm paying retail for a lot of this stuff is not because I just love spending money. It's because I like buying parts that I can say whatever the F I want about them. And if the part is dog shit, I'm going to tell you it's dog shit. Luckily, Sherpa has never been dog shit to me. So today, we're going to install it on the 80 series. All right, we're going to try and get this one off here. And if a regular screwdriver isn't cutting it, bust out one of these bad boys. Now that we got the rack off, you probably are going to have areas on your 80 series that look like this. And this is just accumulation of like moss, dirt, moisture underneath the cups. And you can see here that most of it is going to come off pretty easily with like some degreaser here. But some of it actually marred the paint. And like while I got off most of the moss and all that stuff, in here is actually like rusted paint. And I don't want this roof to rust any more than it already is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bust out the sander and try and sand inside these channels in here. And then once I get that all sanded down, like you can even see, it's like some of this is failing. Once I get all that sanded down, I'm just going to throw a coat of paint up here. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's a really shitty paint job. And to be honest with you, that is a really shitty paint job. But this is not a part where anyone's going to see. It's going to be covered by a roof rack. And I really just didn't want to paint this like black. Now that we got this all done, I'm going to go ahead and clean up these threads. And then I'm going to thread in some hardware in here with a little bit of a silicone or rubber washer. Then I'm going to spray some silicone on here. And that should be sealed up perfectly. And then we can go ahead and move on to installing the roof rack. The way they mount is pretty easy. I highly recommend you do this on a table, not on your lap. But you throw in the T slots into the channels there. Then you throw the mount over them, and then you tighten them in place. Pretty easy. And I'm going to do everything finger tight so that way I can adjust. Triple recommends that you put this edge 4.5 inches from this edge on both sides. At least that way you know the bar is totally perpendicular across the rig and it's not cattywampus. So I'm going to measure 4.5 from here to here on both sides, and we're going to plumb this up. Now that we got these centered on the vehicle so the bars are straight, we got to make sure the bar itself is centered on the vehicle. And so I'm going to measure here and here on both sides to make sure I can get a matching number. Alright, now that we got both sides on, now is a great time to see if we are centered on the rig. And we'll punch in so you can see, but I think we might be pretty much centered. Let me close this door and show you guys how it looks. It's making the Land Cruiser look like a proper overlander. I mean, I feel like that looks incredible paired with the bumper, the rack, the wheels. All we need is our sliders. Come on, white knuckle, hurry up. We'll throw on some lights, but overall the rig is starting to look really good. Time for us to move on to some tailgate storage. And this brown carpet's real nice and plush, don't get me wrong. But what we want to do is we want to maximize the amount of space we can use in this thing, because this is going to be a lot smaller than our Sequoia was. It'll be nice too because it'll give me a chance to see what condition the door is in. I'm not really breaking any of the clips here. I just want to make sure everything's in good shape. So we got that off. Oh yeah, that door looks to be in great shape. I mean, there's a little bit of rust here and there, which I'm not going to worry about. But overall, it's in pretty good condition. I mean, geez. We got the sound deadening all in there. You can hear it. It sounds great. And I actually went a little bit overboard and I put some sound deadening up along the edge here because I know we're going to reach in and get stuff and I just don't want my hand to get scratched. So I have the tape and then I have the sound deadening here along the edge just so I don't cut my hands up. Up on top I don't really have that because, you know, you might need some space to shove some things in here. It's a little bit deeper on top anyway, but I know that when you open up the hatch, which I think it opens up like so, we're going to be doing a lot of this, and I just don't want to touch it. So if you're going to be doing this, on the website they don't say anything about that, but I made sure just to cover the edge with the sound deadening. And then now it's time to grab the plate, put it on, it puts the self-isolating bolts all through here, get my fingers in here, and tighten this bad boy up. Okay, cool. That's gonna go in like so. Moment of truth. Here we go. Yes. Love it. Let's see if she opens up. Bing, bing, bing. Very stoked on that. Let me go a little bit. I think we go down just a hair. There we go. Perfect. Love it. I got myself a tailgate table. It's time to complete the exterior build of the 80 series Land Cruiser, and it's also time to meet a new sponsor of the channel. Big shout out to Baja Designs for sending me this goodie package. We're going to throw on a bunch of auxiliary lighting on the rig to make us a lot safer at night, and it's going to add a lot to the look. What we got going on here are two LP9 Pros that will go in the front underneath the hoop. We got two Squadron SAEs, and this is super important because we're going to be using these as fog lights, and you can kind of see inside here there's curved lenses to give these lights a nice sharp cutoff. And then we also got Squadron Pros for ditch lights, and to control all of this we are going to be running the Spod. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're like, Spod, man, this is like this is really expensive stuff. This is probably not the stuff that I would buy for my rig, because I could get like the Axito or Oxbeam switch controllers on Amazon, way cheap, and it can show up the next day. And I hear you. I know that there are a lot of cheaper options out there. You can get Amazon lights. In fact, There's a whole category on YouTube about people testing these lights versus like Harbor Freight or Amazon or whatever. The reason why I approached Baja Designs and Spod is because quality, quality, quality. I've ran aux beam switches before. I've ran cheap Amazon lights before on my GX. I had all that aux beam stuff. In fact, I've gotten approached by those companies to put those parts on this rig, and I've simply said no. And not because of some sort of ego or whatever, it's because I don't want parts failing on me in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the state or wherever. And I also want to make sure that the stuff that I put on the rig, I can reach out to a company and quality control it. If you look, there's kind of a theme we got going on here. The front bumper is from Goliath Off-Road. They're based out of Florida, and they communicated with me the entire way throughout putting this on the rig, and they still are in communication with me. The roof rack is from Sherpa. They have communicated with me the whole way, and they answered DMs, etc. The wheels are from HD Race Wheel. They're based out of California. The springs are Eibach, based out of California. I'm doing a lot of things on this rig that if I need support, I can reach out to the company and get support. And I say this in almost every single video, but there are so many times when you put a product on a rig and it fails and there is no support in the United States, and that bothers me more than anything. On top of that, the quality of Baja Designs and Spod is second to none. I mean, you can look at the manufacturing of, let's say, these squadrons, these SAEs. You can already see the quality in the casing. You can see that the wiring is super thick. They give you fantastic connectors that are already weatherproof in here. And I just threw that down on the box and nothing really broke. They also give you different lenses, different colors, all kinds of stuff for these lights. This is basically our family forever rig, and I don't want to put on something that's gonna break. That's a long tangent, I know, and I'm sorry, but I had to say it. So now that that's out of the way, let's just start installing this stuff. Baja Designs makes it super simple to install these lights just about anywhere. You could use them as ditch lights, but saying that they're rated for a fog light, I'm going to be using them as a fog light. The mounting bracket's basically the same. It goes underneath the light like so. They include hardware that goes through this. The body of the light is actually threaded, so the hardware goes into the body of the light and isolates itself. Goes in through here, and then you drop a bolt through this bracket wherever you want. What I like to do, put the mount on the light first, then drop a bolt in and drop this into the frame of or the bracket of the vehicle. It gives you a lot more room if you kind of just go like this and leave everything loose. Then on the vehicle, I tighten everything down. Let's get this up in here. The bracket plays nicely. There we go. I'll get my little piece of hardware, get under the car and tighten that up, and I think we're good to go. Alright, we got them both lined up, and still a little higher than I'd like. You know, I'm gonna put that on Goliath Off-Road for making those mounts just too high. Like, I don't know what fog light, if this is made for Baja Designs, why did you put the brackets so high? Like, that just doesn't make sense. This one's aimed a little bit lower than this one, I can tell from right now, so I'm gonna move this up. I think it can go like that. There we go. And you know, I'm sitting level with the car, and that just looks, man, that just doesn't look right. But hey, it is what it is. Now we can move on to the LP9s that'll sit up front. Just like the Squadrons, the LP9s include a bracket for you to mount wherever you want to mount them, and I'm gonna put two right next to each other here in the dead center of the grill slash hoop. And I will say props to Goliath Off-Road for putting these slots here, and those are actually the right width and right location for me to throw LP9s up front. So at least these ones work. The way I'm going to do these first is I'll drop the hardware in, then I'll mount the light. I'm just going to match the body line of the bumper here on this, and then I'll just crank those down. That way they're kind of locked in. I'll eyeball the center of the bumper, and you can see the Goliath Off-Road logo is there. It's in between the Y and the O, so maybe this side can come over just a little bit, maybe. But I think so far so good. Also, there's a center line in the grill here, which I think we're like dead center. So maybe just a little scotch on this side here. I think that's it. I'll tighten down those brackets and then I'll mount in the LP9 Pros up front. Fast forward to a few weeks from where we last left off, and we got the front all situated with lighting. Now it's time for us to move on to our ditch light solution. I saw some really nice mirror mount ditch light brackets that I really wanted to explore, and it puts the ditch lights kind of in a place that I feel would cover more angle for the light as opposed to right here on the hood. Don't get me wrong, you can like swivel these out and go wherever you want, but I really like having them on the A-pillars in this car. So I ordered up a set of Yodatech ditch light brackets. I mounted a set of Squadron Pros onto them, and basically the way they're going to work is they mount on to the side view mirror, I guess like triangle that goes where the factory goes, and the pressure of this mounting against the side door of the car kind of squeezes these two together, and you have a rear view mirror with a ditch light on it. Now it does weigh a lot, so I hope the hardware is strong enough. And before we go ahead and install these, let me show you a little bit of work that I did here. The ditch light bracket is beautiful, but I didn't want to have wires hanging out. So what I did was I mounted the Baja Designs Squadron Pro to the bracket. Then I ran a wire underneath, as you can see here, into the body of the mirror. The glass isn't on, so I don't break it. Then the wire comes out of the factory location where your power mirror plug comes out of, basically putting the wires in the door of the car. And so if I walk over to the door, hopefully the alarm doesn't go off. It loves to go off on me when I do this stuff. So when I walk over to the door, the wire will come down in here, go through here, come out of the factory location where the speaker wires go and the rear view mirror wiring goes, and then into the engine bay and into our lighting controller. Firstly, we do have this gigantic wire that I got to fish down into the door somehow. So let's fish this in. We'll figure out where it goes in a minute. Then we have this guy that has to get fished in, and then the mirror can go on. But for now, let me just kind of put this here. Don't worry, there's no glass in it, so I can see where this wire is ending up. What I have to do is take an incision here and cut an opening for the wire to come out of, and then it can go kind of around the door and into the fender. That way, I mean, I guess the clean way would be to go through this thing here, but I've tried fishing wires through the factory loom and it's so hard. The wire through and down in the door, we can put this, or at least try to put this in here. Take up some of the slack here, just like that. This guy will go down in there too. Should pop in the hole nicely. Let's see. All right. It's kind of a friction fit right now. All right, she's on, and I gotta say, the gamble of painting this flat black, it really pays off. I think it matches the black trim on the factory 80 series. See the black trim all through there? A lot better than the factory decision to keep it just one solid color. This is dope. I'm really happy that it's looking this way. Now we got to run the wiring through the fender into the engine bay, and we're one step closer to finishing up the lighting on the 80 series. 2, 1, no rattle. Sick. Great, no mirror rattle, and it closes perfectly. Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Looks so good. Let's aim this down a little bit. Boom. Woo! Sick. Now that we have all the lights on, the next logical step would be let's hook them up and turn on the lights and have a light show. But we're going to do one more thing in between hooking up the lights, and that is installing graphics on the 80 series. Today is a perfect 71-degree day in Washington. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. It might rain later, but that's to our favor because since it's so mild, it's a great day to stand in the very hot driveway and install graphics on the side of the rig. In fact, you can kind of see some of the water on the driveway starting to evaporate, so it is kind of heating up a little bit. Anyway, tangent. And let me show you the graphics that we got. You can kind of see them on top of the Corolla here. They are kind of an homage to an old school 60 series factory graphic. I don't know. I'll insert my buddy Zach's car right here. And it turns out I ordered these from a guy on Etsy and stoked about them and posted them online about how excited I am. And one of my good buddies now told me he's the one who designed this for his rig specifically, and everyone on Etsy just kind of ripped him off. I did feel kind of bad stealing his design, putting it on the car, but I asked him if he was cool with me doing it, and he's like, yeah, do it. That'd be sick if you put it on your car. So I got the blessing from Black Hills Builds West to put this on our car, and we're going to do it. With that said, you really can't tell what color or theme or anything we're going with here, but it is a black and gray theme to go with the black and polished wheels on the 4K1 beige car. You can't really pick a ton of colors that will go with beige, but black and gray would go really well. And so, first things first, we're going to wipe down the areas in which the vinyl is going to go, which I've already clay barred right here. You can kind of see it's very smooth. And I clay barred over here too. And then I'm going to be placing these vinyls on with moisture. If you're a pro vinyl installer, you're probably going to look at this and be like, oh my God, what are you doing? I'm not pro, and I don't know if placing a graphic the first time is going to be the best time for me. So I'm going to use moisture to allow me to reposition the graphic every time. And so without further ado, let's wet down the car and try to install the first sticker. The mixture I'm going to be using to keep everything lubricated on the body before we squeegee it down is a mixture of car wash soap, quick detailer, and water. And it should come out a little foamy. You can see it. To kind of just let it be a little slick on the car. Should be soap in there, some silicone spray. Just get nice and slick. And we're going to apply it really heavily on the first go, just so I know. And then we'll throw on the first sticker that goes over the fender, and then we can adjust everything from there. This is really tight right here.
Yeah.
But do your little measuring tape. See, this higher there than it is there.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think
we can go higher.
I think the other ones are like that too. Okay. But yeah, I think maybe you can slant it a little bit more.
Okay. Let's get it wet. Got it all done. Instead of you watching me put stickers on, I just went ahead and did it, and wow, holy cow, that looks so good. Wow, that makes the 80 look so sick. I love it. This is incredible. Holy cow, I'm so stoked. Now all we got to do is do the other side, and we're almost done with the exterior of the 80. It's time to install the Spod Bantam X light controller. And what we got here is we got a 8-switch controller. It's going to allow us to do some really unique things in the rig. First and foremost, it's going to control 8 different inputs or 8 different outputs. So lighting, fridges, winch, whatever you want, lockers, whatever you want to put on this, it'll control it. Luckily, we have our winch and our lockers already sorted with ARB air lockers and a Overland Vehicle Systems winch directly looped to the secondary battery. So we won't be using this for that. But things like house lights, fridge, all the auxiliary lighting, and more can be controlled with this Bantam X controller. Another thing that's really cool about the Spod is it allows you to run multiple control units to one controller. So for example, I can put this box in the front of my engine bay right here, run a wire to a controller where I'm driving. And while I'm driving, I can use that controller to control all my driving lights. The same box can power another controller that goes all the way to the back of the rig out of the hatch. And that controller can control those lights as well, plus another set of channels that would be used for camping. For example, like a heater or floodlights or dome lights or awning lights. And that's why I went with an 8-panel box. So that way I can run, hypothetically, ditch lights, bar lights. I could run fog lights. And then I can run chase lights. So that's 4 there. That's all my driving lights. And then these 4 can be my camp lights. So like dome light in the back. Probably awning light. I could probably even use this one for a fridge. Turn the fridge on and off, and then I could use a spare for whatever. So you can see, I mean, I just rattled off 8 different channels, 7 different channels, but you can make this do anything you want. And that is so freaking cool, especially to have 2 controllers on one box is unreal. I've always wanted an S-Pod. I've never actually had a chance to pull the trigger on an S-Pod, and this will be my first S-Pod install. So I'm beyond stoked. Let's see if she fits. First test fit of these homemade brackets. Perfect. The Bantam X cover kind of tells you exactly what you need to know about each switch. So if you look at the box, you just see a bunch of pins, but if you put the switch over, you can tell which pin does what. And what we're going to be doing right now is we're going to be wiring up our ditch lights. And for me, I think switch 2 is a perfect switch for the ditch lights, because switch 1 will be my fog lights, switch 2 will be ditch, switch 3 will be LP9 kind of daytime running, and then switch 4 will be LP9 high beam. I will not be using LP9 low beam. Another dope thing about the Bantam X box is they give you these like rubber grommets to let your wires go through. Keeps everything so nice and neat. The controller wire is going to go through that one, this one will go through here. And I'm going to tighten this bad boy up right now so it never comes out. We'll get that one nice. Cool. Nice and tidy. Now I'm not going to put the box back on just yet because I have, some more wiring I want to do today. But what I can do is I can connect the wires that I made to my junction, plug in the controller, and see if it works. Number 2 works. Look at that. The red light is on and the light is on. That's incredible. It's time for us to mount the S-Pod control pod. And one of the parts that we got right here is from Delta Vehicle Systems. It comes with they create a ram ball mount for the clock location. It replaces the old LCD clock, and you can throw in a 1-inch ram ball here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop out the factory clock, which I just did, throw in the ram ball bracket, and then run the wire for the S-Pod through the firewall, up through the dash, and then out through here. Now there are some wireless controller kits out there on the market, but I will say this: wireless is great for your phone or for your laptop or for whatever it is, but you don't only want to rely on wireless. You want to make sure you have a wired connection at all times, and then the wireless connection is the bonus connection. Don't make it your primary. I don't know how many times batteries go low or whatever and you lose Bluetooth signal and then you got to resync. It's just such a pain in the ass. So make sure that you get something that, if you're looking for lighting controllers, get something with a wire. And then if it comes with a wireless connection on top of that, like you saw with the phone, that's a bonus. So we're going to run this wire through here, then it's going to run down the glove box, out the firewall, and then into the engine bay. And it shouldn't be too bad of an install. So let's tidy this up in here, run us through this, and then make the wire come out here, and I can show you where the controller will mount. All right, now we're going to mount up the S-Pod controller into the dash. So we have the 1-inch balls there. I got myself a RAM adapter. Plug in the little telephone cord there with a nice little weather sealer and kind of put it in the position you want. And I'm gonna kind of sacrifice passenger and aim it a little bit at driver here. Tighten the ram ball mount and maybe adjust a little bit like that so it's not so far out. And boom, we got ourselves a mounted Spod controller. And since everything's nice and clean, it goes in here into the dash, underneath the car, out through the firewall. And let's make sure everything works. This would be fog lights. Woo! This would be ditch lights. Yeah! And we got more wiring to do. And finally, the last light that we wired up is the chase slash cooking slash kitchen slash whatever rear light we got for the rear of the 80 series. This is a Baja Designs S1, and we put them on another set of Yoda brackets. And the reason why we went with the lights right here instead of ditch lights up on the rack or bumper lights is because these work as chase lights and they're very bright. But we just threw in a new camp kitchen setup that I built. You can see here's the drawers, and let me throw the actual kitchen side for y'all. And the kitchen here is going to need lighting, and so I can throw like a bar of light up top here, but I could also use my S1s controlled by my Bantam controller to light up my kitchen when I'm cooking. You can see I could literally take this light, aim it at my kitchen, boom, and now I got a light wherever I'm cooking, which for me is huge because it's multi-purpose. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you for watching this entire thing. The summer, the 80 series turned pretty. We installed the lights, the rack, rear storage solution, and we threw on a set of dope old school graphics. And now the Land Cruiser keeps getting a little bit closer and closer to its first trip. We're gonna try and make it to Moab, Utah. We're running out of summer. It's now almost October, and I've been working on this thing for 9 months straight. Hopefully it holds itself together for a big epic road trip, and if not, we'll find out. Sign off and end this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.